variety pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.
I don't think I'll ever get sick of that theme song, will you?
No.
It's
I'm singing it in my dreams.
It's great. I think it's so great. Again, that's Mariah Stokes, a musician in Calgary, and Devin Cooper. They made that for us. So anyway, welcome to the 7th episode of Eat North Variety Pack. We are still very much stuck in our homes, but we're having a good time on Thursdays at lunch hour. How are you two?
Well, I'm drinking. How are you?
I'm not drinking yet, but I will be in a bit. Mike, how are you?
I got a coffee and a hot water with lemon right now, so I still got a bunch of work to do this afternoon, but I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to a cider in a couple hours here.
Well, in honor of our first guest and gin, because I am a gin drinker, I decided to make myself a gin and tonic, and so but it is 2:00 here, so I don't feel too guilty. I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, because we do have a bit of a time difference, and actually most of our guests today are on the West Coast, so they're even earlier than us. It's only 11 a.m. where they are, so I think 2 p.m. part of me is a pretty good start time for happy hour, if you're asking me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with all of this, social distancing happening and spending so much more time at home, I've obviously been cooking a lot more at home, as I'm sure both of you have as well. Have you noticed any ingredients in your fridge kind of depleting a lot faster than normal? Because I'm kind of scared with how much cream I've been going through. I think I get a splash here, a splash there, but clearly it's a lot of splashes because I'm restocking quite readily.
Mike, you go first. I got to think about it.
Yeah, for sure. For us, it's eggs. For some reason, I feel like I'm running a brunch restaurant here. We're going through like 24 eggs, like every third day.
Oh, wow.
My 2-year-old, you might be able to hear him in the background. He's like all about open-faced egg sandwiches these days. So we're buying sour bread nonstop. And then one of my favorite farmers here, his company is called Nature's Farm. He's actually from Germany, and he just makes these amazing eggs. Dan, you've had them many times at Clementine. They've got this beautiful kind of. Yeah, so we're buying those nonstop.
So, okay, the thing I'm going through the most is oranges. I don't know why. I've been going in kind of spurts and spots. So the very beginning, I was going through a lot of gin, and then I was going through a lot of toast with marmalade, and then I was going through popcorn with chocolate chips, and now I'm all about oranges. So I whatever mood I'm in, my body's going, do this. So now I'm just eating oranges.
Do you find it's hard to eat healthy during these times? I know, Mairlyn, that is a big push for you, is reminding people to eat healthy, because while we are stuck at home, we do have a tendency to lean towards comfort foods. So what do you do to encourage people to maybe stray away from the comfort foods a bit, especially now that it's getting nicer out and you want more fresh, light flavors?
Yeah, and I think it's that, when this all first happened, it felt like a really bad holiday that, you had really bad amenities and you were stuck in your house, but it was kind of like a holiday. And then, the next week is like, well, no, if this is the new normal, if I keep doing all of that, then I am going to really actually become sick. And not from COVID, but I'm going to not feel good. So, but my whole push is that, you will feel better. And because mental health is so important right now, that the foods that you eat really do affect how you feel. And so mine is like, okay, comfort food is like a barley risotto, or like I just made this really yummy sweet potato, kind of my version of an African peanut soup. I'm allergic to peanuts, so there's no peanuts in it, but it's real comforting. So my comfort foods are all, I'm really trying to get people to, make that leap between how you feel and what you eat. So, yeah, I'm really focusing. I'm like hyper, although, then there's the gin. But anyway, so it's about balance.
It's all about balance. Life is about balance. And what about you, Mike? I know that you live quite a healthy lifestyle, you're really into yoga. And is there any sort of ingredients that you would use at home that can substitute for a rich ingredient like cream or something, where you sort of, cheat a bit so it's healthy, but you still get that richness that you're looking for?
Yeah, we've been actually doing a lot of various milks, the main one being like oat milk. My wife's been really into that. She's due in a month too, so we've been trying to eat, somewhat healthy, but we've also been carb loading. We have been guilty of eating a lot of ice cream, though. We got a lot of really good local ice cream makers here in Winnipeg, and I find I'm always having a scoop of ice cream in my coffee in the morning. Throughout the day, though, I find I'm being like healthy aside from that. When we are carb loading, we're hitting sourdough.
Mm-hmm.
Finally finished The Sopranos, so I'm off the pasta
nice.
train again. I feel my pasta cravings are gone. But yeah, aside from that, we're still like, we live in Wolseley right now in Winnipeg, which is kind of like the hippy dippy kind of granola area of Winnipeg. So there's a lot of really good, nice grocery stores that are close. So I can still get my kale and my Swiss chard, and putting an egg on everything. But I feel as though I'm staying trim.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've been trying to cycle a lot more now that it is nicer outside. But yeah, I just always think it's interesting to find out what everyone's cooking at home, because we are cooking at home all the time now.
Now, okay, Clapson,
yes.
You eat out, you order in all the time, and we're not, because of my peanut allergy. Right. So my question to you, well, both of you, to Mike too. So when you get your takeout, order in, like, do you eat out of the containers, or do you put them in like special plates and pretend you went out for dinner?
I think it depends on what I'm gonna have for lunch or dinner. I do order takeout about. I do order takeout about 3 times a week.
Sorry. What's it again?
Yeah. Sorry, I do order takeout about 3 times a week, and since we do work in the food media business, I have so many plates and platters, and we use them usually for TV to dress up a set. But now that I'm at home and I'm bringing takeout home, especially when it's from a nice restaurant, like in Calgary restaurant, maybe like Bar Vonderfels or Bridget Bar, I do want the food to look as nice as maybe the restaurant would hope it to look. So then I will bust up my plates and have a nice little presentation. But if it's something like a burger, I'm cool just to grab it out of the container and just go for it,
Yeah, we've been doing takeout about like 2-3 times a week, depending on what it is, especially because I'm writing a lot of takeout guides for our website. But I find, because I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, so I'm always, I was afraid of germs before. So I'm always like dumping it into a plate, washing my hands, and then eating it. But I'm not like pushing it to the side and using tweezers to make a nice, half moon shape or quarter moon shape on my plate. I'm kind of just slamming it once it's down onto a plate.
Okay, that sounds fair. So, I mean, I'm not using tweezers either, but sometimes I like it to look pretty. So anyway, I think it's time to talk a little bit less about food and maybe more about cocktails. How does that sound?
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yes, you're in. Cheers to that. So our first guest of the show today, his name is Peter Hunt. He is the president and master distiller of Victoria Distillers, which is right outside of Victoria, BC, a very well-known Canadian distillery. And they also produce Empress Gin, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But one of the most interesting things about the distillery as of late is that they were actually one of the first Canadian distilleries to start producing sanitizer when the pandemic really started to hit the country. So I think we're going to bring Peter on to say hi and just chat a bit about that and find out more about how things are going. Hey, Peter, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Dan?
I'm great. Thanks for doing the show today. We really appreciate it.
That's a pleasure.
Are the stills in action right now, or are they taking a day off?
Still behind me is actually our 200-liter still. This was it was originally a wood-fired still. It was our first still we got in 2007. We don't do a lot of production with that still at this point. We've got 2 other 900-liter stills in the other room that are both in action today. So,
admittedly, yeah. I've drank a lot of your products through Victoria Distillers, but I've never actually seen the distillery. So where is it, and what do you offer there?
Yeah, we're in Sydney, which is about 20 minutes north, sort of out towards the ferries, if you know Victoria. Mm-hmm. We've got a really beautiful location right on the water. So yeah, when in better times we do tours and tastings through the summertime, but we've got a little cocktail lounge and tasting room and retail shop here at the distillery. So we've been in this location since 2016. We originally opened our doors in 2007.
It's been a while now. And so when you decided to start producing sanitizer during the pandemic, it's quite a while ago now. I believe it was mid-March. Why did you guys want to do that?
I certainly was watching the news like everybody and looking at what we were doing. And we have a bunch of waste alcohol, heads and tails from each distillation that we don't do anything with. It's high proof alcohol. It's like 90% alcohol, and so I was like, oh well, we should be able to put this to use because there seems to be a shortage out there. My wife works in at the law courts, and they couldn't even get any sanitizer there. And I was like, oh well, we should start doing something. And so to scale up from nothing is challenging. So I approached another local business here in Victoria that was already making sort of locally produced body products, and they had made sanitizer, so they had a recipe for sanitizer, but they weren't able to get alcohol at the time, and so I said, well, do you guys want to partner on this? And we could probably make some sanitizer and make it free for essential services. Mm-hmm. And they were excited by the idea, and so we started working with them. Their company is called Neza Naturals, and they had access to spray bottles, which were becoming harder and harder to find, and so we brought those in, and we took all our tasting room staff, or several of them, that would have been doing tours and tastings and starting to open up the cocktail bar and so on, and we got them to start working on the hand sanitizer production line. So they all became manufacturers, and we started doing hand sanitizer every day, and we started with just doing product for essential services, delivering it to hospitals and clinics, and we've delivered some sort of long-term care facilities and homeless shelters and that kind of thing. But there was a lot of demand outside that, so we have made a portion available for retail as well, because the retailers weren't able to find any either. So and that's helped to offset some of our costs for the free stuff as well. So it's been a crazy ride, because every week we don't really know what to expect on either side of our business, whether it's spirits or hand sanitizer. But it's been nice to be able to contribute in that way.
Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to order some, now I live in Ontario, so there's quite a few distilleries that are doing the same thing. I think they took your lead, so God bless you for being the leader in this. But if you live in BC, do you ship it, or did somebody have to come right down to your distillery to get it?
So starting last weekend, we started curbside pickup. So we've started an online store and curbside pickup for both our spirits and sanitizer. We don't do any actual shipping, but Neza Naturals does do shipping through their website. So they're another Victoria-based company, obviously, and so they're doing more of the retail side of it than we are. But certainly through them it is available.
Yeah, Peter. Do you think this is going to become a regular product line for you? Because that's what I've always been interested in with hearing, like we have a couple local distillers that have been doing it as well. But given that, COVID's going to keep going on until there's, some kind of, vaccine or what have you, is it going to be like an offering at least for the next year?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly an opportunity we're continuing for now, although we've seen our demand shift from essential workers to start with, of course, and then serving retail. What we've seen, the shift is actually now there's all these businesses that are looking to reopen, and they're wanting to protect their staff. So we're doing more wholesale directly to those type of businesses that are buying in bulk because they want to buy a whole bunch of bottles to protect their workers as they look to reopen their doors. So we're certainly seeing our customers change and evolve as this goes along. But that says there's also a bunch of distilleries, which is awesome, that have scaled this up, and so the demand is still there, I think. Certainly the supply is coming online, which is great. And it's becoming easier to find.
Do you find that your production of sanitizer has affected how you produce your alcohol? Like, has it impeded your other productions or anything and caused you to slow down?
No, we have moved from just using heads and tails, about 50, 60 liters of essentially waste that we would have produced every day, to actually using our raw alcohol that would go into the stills. So it actually costs us something now instead of just using the waste, because we wanted to scale it up further. but it hasn't affected our actual production. We actually have, you can see the still behind me. There's glass in front of it. We actually have a 2-hour firewall between the two sides of our business that we needed to put that in order to have the public on the one side separated from the production area. But we've had the hand sanitizer production on the tasting room side, and we've kept those totally separate. So even we don't have people wandering back and forth, so that we're protecting our manufacturing people from our tasting room people, and our marketing people are working from home. And so we're trying to isolate everyone as much as we can and isolate the different parts of the business to make sure that we're being responsible in this time.
Right.
Well, you're doing a fabulous job making a difference, and also that whole I think what COVID is doing for a lot of companies is causing them to become even more creative than they were. But the fact that you're doing that and making a difference at the same time, that these are the stories that make me cry right now, is that you're really out there doing something wonderful for a whole bunch of us. So thank you on behalf of everybody that gets to drink your gin and use your sanitizer.
And
thank you.
That's a perfect segue, because I just want to shout out Empress Gin. I think is now probably one of the most famous gins made in all of Canada. I was actually with you when you launched the product at the Fairmont Empress in Victoria. It was 4 years ago now, I think. Time flies. 3 or 4?
Yeah. May 2017.
So 3 years. So it's an incredible product, and we're going to make a drink with you. Well, I am in my kitchen in a little bit here. So we'll let you go get set up for now. But thank you so much for chatting with us, Peter. It was great to have your insight.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. It's great to chat with you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks.
Great conversation. I think it's so interesting how Canadian distilleries have pivoted to sanitizer. And again, it's not a new news story by any means, but I think it's still something that we should be reminded of. And I was on Global Edmonton last weekend, and I was talking about different Canadian distilleries that were sort of leading the charge with the sanitizer production. And I just think it's amazing. It was a really unexpected way, I think, for distilleries or a food or beverage company to be able to give back during this time. It really surprised me. I think it's really interesting to see.
But I mean, he's now going out of pocket, because if he's using his own raw materials, so supporting him by buying his product and supporting his gin. I mean, seriously, if I was there, I would I think it's really important as consumers that we give back to them by supporting the products that they make. And well, I'm a gin drinker, so this is totally moot, because I'm going to rush to my liquor store and get some.
I'm always intrigued if, from a marketing perspective, when you used to be able to buy like a 26er and you'd get like a little Mickey on the side, like a little 1 ounce of like the different product that they would make. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if now for his gin, you'll get the gin and then you'll sanitize.
That's a genius idea, Mike.
Well, I'll write it down then. I'm trademarking it right now.
Yes,
so.
done.
No, that is so smart. Oh my God. And you know what? And charges for that. I mean, don't give it as a freebie. I think we should be paying for it. I mean, if he's using raw product, for heaven's sakes. I'm in.
And it'll be good for when you're at barbecue. Because you've always got that friend that would be putting their hand in the ice before they're making their drink. So they could get a little spray first, Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. I feel like sometimes I am that friend if I have too many gin cocktails. So.
Use this
low-key apology here. Okay, so speaking of businesses that are pivoting in creative ways, our next guest, her name is Britt Innes, and she works for Joey Restaurants Group as a VP of Brands and Communication. And Joey Restaurants has pivoted quite creatively, during the pandemic. Obviously, they can't have dine-in service, and they are still doing takeout, but they've also created quite a vast array of options when it comes to meal kits, cocktail kits, and even an online grocery store of sorts. And I just feel like it's a really interesting thing for a company like that to do. So I'm just going to bring Britt on. We're going to give Mairlyn a bit of a gin break, not a coffee break. We're going to chat with Britt. So I'm going to bring Britt on here. Hey, Britt, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thanks for having me on. Absolutely. Hi, everyone.
Yes. How's life you're in Vancouver, right?
I am. Yep. Vancouver. Yeah. The weather's turning. It's beautiful out there and it's lovely.
I do feel like Vancouver is always the first to be green, or probably is still green in January. So we're still quite brown here in Calgary. So I'm definitely envious of all the cherry blossom photos I'm seeing right now from over there.
It really is beautiful.
Yeah. So Vancouver is HQ for Joey Restaurants. Your company's grown a lot in the past well, you've been around almost 30 years actually, but in the past 10, you've especially grown a lot, including into the States to Seattle and LA. What, how did you guys decide to start doing meal kits, cocktail kits, and the online grocery store? Because I feel like that was such a great way to pivot during these times.
Yeah, I mean, it was really out of necessity as we started closing restaurants, and we have restaurants in Seattle, so those restaurants did close first. We were looking and we're like, what are we going to do? All restaurants are, shut their doors overnight and down in sales, and so it really was out of a fight for survival that we're like, what are we going to do? What do the guests want? What do we want as everyone's home? What does that look like? And out of that, things like the grocery store, the Joey Market came up, where you could order Joey on DoorDash, or you could pick it up, but you could also order your butter, or in your case, cream or oat milk. We have oat milk up there, and you can get a meal kit. So just thinking like what we would want to experience, and then what our guests want, and we did see, guests, we want to provide an experience for our guests when they're in our restaurants, just a little escape. And we really were looking like, how can we do that well at home? And so the things like the meal kits came out of that, and just really some great stuff. We had Chef Matthew Stowe doing these meal kits with his kids at home and sharing those video on YouTube. And we had families sharing that they were cooking these meal kits with their children, and just some really great things came out during this difficult time that brought some cheer to our guests, I would say.
Do you find the way that you engage with your, fans or social media followers has changed during the pandemic? Like showing those at-home moments have become more ingrained in your marketing strategy, would you say?
Yeah, I think that content has been two ways. What we've seen is guests have been asking for like videos or recipes or hints with our sommelier or our bartender, but also they've been sharing like some of the videos we've received from our guests all over the country. They're just amazing. So there is this sense of storytelling both ways on our social media channels that just warms my heart, actually.
And Mike, so have you tried out a meal kit? You have a Joey in Winnipeg, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a couple here, and then as well, local is here as well. On that note, has there been anything that's been surprising, like as far as the supply chain goes, that people have been buying? Like I've always just found it fascinating. You can pick up like paper towel and toilet paper along with like the meal you're about to eat.
Yeah, that is
is it surprising to see like when people first saw that when you were clicking online, were they like, oh, yeah, I may as well?
Definitely. Like I was surprised, I was like, really, is toilet paper going to sell? And then it was like, one of the top 5 items, in the first week when we launched the market, because there was that concern about it. Right. And then other trends are, you spoke to it earlier, but people are eating desserts. Like desserts are really selling more than we had thought. And flour is selling, and we're selling yeast because people are making their own bread at home. So there are trends that we see that are really fascinating and just showing what people are doing at home.
So with the meal kits, what was the process like to create them? Because you're not a company that's used to doing that kind of thing. Sure, you do takeout, but how do you actually package a signature Joey dish into something that someone can understand how to make at home?
Yeah, it's really good. We started with, okay, what's the dish, right? What do we want to do? And we picked a couple signature Joey meals, like our Bombay butter chicken, and then items that weren't on the menu, the tuna poke. Mm-hmm. And then Matthew Stowe and the rest of our culinary team really broke it down, cooked it at home, and just captured the whole experience from start to finish. How would you want it packaged? What items, could be recycled, and how do you want it to come? And what's the best experience for the guest? We had great testers on the recipes as well and got good feedback on that. You were one of them, Dan, to try that out. And, I don't cook as often as I should, but I practiced and looked and gave feedback on those. And then we made tweaks on those recipes. And it really was a fluid process through this time.
And so do you see yourselves elaborating on those offerings as a company? Because there's lots of talk now because Winnipeg actually has now reopened patios for sit-down service, I'm sure you know. And Calgary's supposed to reopen at some level on May 14th, again, I'm sure you know. But that's not going to look like a full Joey in Eau Claire, right downtown Calgary. It's not going to be packed anymore, right? You won't be allowed to. So do you think you're going to grow this side of the business?
I definitely, like you said, we don't know what the future holds,
Right.
but it's going to look different for restaurants, right? And so while we're opening restaurants at 50% capacity on patios or 25% market to market, province to province, restaurants are not going to be at 100% capacity, not even close, right? So this side of the business will continue on, and there's so many great restaurants doing amazing things in every market. And I'm just so proud, like really proud of our people and our team and the restaurant industry as a whole of just moving so quickly and, creating offerings for all our guests. It's just really unreal.
Mm-hmm. Mike, have you seen anyone develop meal kits in Winnipeg outside of Joey? Have you seen that sort of idea come to life?
Yeah, a couple of our other locally owned restaurant groups like Matola Grocery, who own Pizzeria Gusto, Merchant Kitchen, and whatnot. They've been doing that as well. Another one of your favorite spots, Closco, just started doing that last week too. So they'll have it all packed up with the specific instructions. So all you have to do is throw it in a 350-degree oven for about 35 minutes, and then it's kind of done. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing I like too, right now, everyone for takeout has really figured out how these items should be served. So you never get your cold ingredients with what should be your hot ones and whatnot. Because that always used to drive me crazy, when you'd order sushi and you'd have say one deep fried roll, or you'd have miso soup and it'd be sitting on top of raw tuna or whatnot. I find that everyone is really it's so well thought out now when you're actually picking up takeout, how everything is separate and how it should be easily put together.
Mm-hmm. So, Britt, with these meal kits, if you're going to expand on them, I need to ask, I'm a huge fan of the Sliders Royale, the little mini cheeseburgers. Will we get a slider meal kit for the summer or no?
Well, I will put that request in today about that. Okay. I'll tell them it came from you. Yes, we'll do a special Dan Clapson meal kit. Yeah. It'll be coming your way. Yeah, I mean, that a lot of the ideas have been coming from guests too. Hey, what about this? What about that? So I'll definitely put that on their radar today, because I think that's a great one.
And so
the one, yes, too. Sorry, if I could just the fried cauliflower with that gochujang kind of
Yes.
But would you send a meal kit where someone has to deep fry their own ingredient? I don't know if that's asking for trouble or.
Well, maybe you could be a tester for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Send it over, hey?
Batter it. Anytime I try and fry cauliflower with a batter, it never quite works. It even a good fish batter, if you take your egg whites and whip them up, it still for some reason doesn't stay crispy for me. So I got to know that.
Okay, I'm going to put that on the list too today.
And Britt, you've been very nice to us. We are going to be able to give away some meal kits and cocktail kits on Eat North. So we posted the giveaway on our Instagram and on our Facebook page, and people have the chance to win a mix of meal kits and cocktail kits. But the cool thing about this giveaway is that we're actually going to have someone win it. excuse me, that they can share with their friends in different cities. Losing my voice here because I'm just getting so emotional about having a virtual dinner party with my friends. But so this giveaway is nice. And I think that what I like about meal kits just in general, Joey and beyond, is that you can buy a kit in Calgary and you can buy it in Vancouver, Winnipeg, and we can all Zoom together and make this together. And I feel like that's a good way of bringing people together over food and over a virtual dinner table. And I think it's a really neat thing to do. So thanks for that.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, Mike, any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, Britt. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
I love Britt. She's so great.
Would it be wrong if I got to win one of those? Is that wrong? Yeah, that's wrong.
I think we could maybe just let you win your own special contest privately, and maybe just send you a kit. We'll get it done. Here, I'm gonna let you two chat.
Are you pitching yet? Are you gonna go make that
No.
drink?
So here's the thing. So I'm gonna go make a cocktail with Peter Hunt, who was on a bit earlier from Victoria Distillers. So I'm gonna let you two chat for a minute while I get set up. Just give me 1 minute, okay? And then we'll be good to go. So I'm gonna say bye and run downstairs.
Okay.
All right, Mairlyn. Given that so patios did open up here this week, and we had a couple ones. Are you gonna go to a patio when they open up in your neck of the woods?
I'm torn. I mean, I miss patios big time, but if they have the social distancing at them, I'll be okay. But I mean, you know, I have asthma, right? So I haven't used my inhaler for a really long time, so I'm still a bit nervous. But I miss patios. I miss my husband and I. That's kind of our thing, that we go sit and we have a wonderful cocktail or a glass of wine or something. And I miss that. And sitting in my backyard looking at my neighbor's kids is not cutting it. So
Yeah. Yeah, for us, because like we haven't, obviously, my wife being due in a month, we're obviously going to keep it, pretty tight. And with a 2-year-old who will, obviously they touch things and put stuff in their mouth. So it's, one of those things. But at the same time, I always find it how it's going to be for the service staff, because they're wearing masks too, right? Like, so you can't actually see how your server's even reacting to your order per se. You can read eyes really well. Maybe they're smiling with their eyes, but it's really going to change, I think, how people serve food right now. Like as far as like how you approach a table, even.
yeah. No, the new rules are going to be the rules for a long time, so we have to meld and get into them. But I never thought about that. They kind of look like bandits, right? So like it'd be like, yes, yeah. And instead of they can say thank you, but they're mumbling, "You're a stupid idiot," right? So you'd never even see it. It'd be fun to be a server.
Well, maybe a lot of these restaurants and brands will start developing their own masks, so you could kind of make it a bit more fun and approachable to.
Yeah. There is a mask people made for people who were deaf, so they could hearing impaired, so they could see their face, so it was a clear thing. So I don't know, maybe they can get some of those. Right. I don't know. Okay.
My friend was talking about that the other day. I'm actually deaf in one of my ears, but it's only happened 3 or 4 years ago, so I haven't got to the lip reading part yet. But I've noticed that lots, though. If I'll be in a restaurant and the server is on my deaf ear, a lot of times my wife will be like, "Hey, they're talking to you," kind of deal. So.
Right on. I wonder, is Clapson down there yet? I'm dying to make this gin drink. I'm going to take notes. I've got a pen and a paper out. Not that I have a...
Okay, so I ran downstairs and now I'm all set up in the kitchen. I'm ready to make a cocktail with Empress Gin. Peter, thanks for chatting with us earlier. I'm excited to make this drink.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so what are we making? It's called the Royal Treatment, which sounds pretty fancy, but it doesn't seem like it's that hard to make.
It sounds fancy, and when you serve it to your guests, it looks fancy and feels fancy, but it's really dead easy.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser for sure.
Cool. Okay, so what do we need to do to get started?
So this is a really easy cocktail. You just want to select a glass. Mm-hmm. A wine glass will work. We like using these little stemless wine glasses for this drink. You want to start with filling them with ice.
Okay.
And you want to be generous with your ice. So fill up your glasses all the way.
Okay. Well, I don't think I was very generous with my ice, so maybe I'll get a little bit more.
The glass, start adding. So
there.
But you don't want to use the cubes for this one because you want to be able to fit your fruit in there as well.
Right, for sure. Okay, so we got our ice in. What do we do now?
So now we're going to put in a little bit of our Empress Gin.
Yes.
So we're going to do 1.5 ounces of Empress in this one.
Tell you what, I'm a free pour sort of guy, so I might just...
Perfect. Okay. This drink is hard to screw up. You could definitely free pour.
Okay.
You can. It's also a great cocktail to substitute different ingredients into.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So this gin is a pretty interesting gin. I know we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but why did you want to make a gin that was color changing with the butterfly pea flower? Did I say that right?
We didn't actually. It is, yes, the butterfly pea flower. We didn't actually intend to make a color changing gin or a blue gin at all. But when we started creating the gin with the Empress Hotel here in Victoria, we were inspired by their afternoon tea program, and it was we started with 20 different teas. We narrowed it down to 2 teas for the recipe, and one of them is the Fairmont Empress blend tea, and the other one was the butterfly pea flower. The butterfly pea flower gives these really nice earthy flavors. It's sort of a bit of a grounding element. It gives some really nice aroma to the gin as well, and a nice sort of a smoothness on the palate. And then, it just kind of happened to be this blue color, and we were like, I don't even know if this is going to work or if people are going to want to buy a blue gin. But it turns out, it actually, we didn't even realize it changed color until we actually started working with it. So it was kind of a bit of a happy accident.
Great. And this gin now, you can find it all over the world. I was just traveling in Asia in January, and I saw it, I believe I saw it in, I want to say Vietnam. Is it in Vietnam? It was somewhere so obscure that I could not believe it was there.
We've exported to I believe about 9 countries at the moment.
Wow.
But certainly you send it one place and somebody else sells it someplace else. We try to protect against that as much as we can, but it does happen.
Definitely. Cool. Anyway, back to the drink. I'm talking too much.
So we've got our Empress gin in there. Mm-hmm. So it's that nice blue color in the glass. Now we're going to do some white cranberry.
Okay.
So white cranberry is what we've traditionally made this drink with. You don't have to use white cranberry. You can use a lychee juice or a pear juice or something like that. Okay. Generally something light in color with a little touch of sweetness. We like to do about 3 ounces of that.
The color does change. That's crazy. Look at that.
Anything with a little bit of acidity will make Empress change from that nice blue color, indigo blue, sort of a soft pink or purple color, depending on what you mix with. So yeah, it makes for a beautiful presentation for sure.
Definitely.
So now we're going to we can add our bubbly.
Okay. I hate doing this live. I'm always afraid it's gonna explode. So.
Yeah.
Whew, that's good.
We're good.
Safe. Top her up.
So top her up, leaving a little bit of room in the glass. We'll probably put about 2 ounces or so of a bubbly.
Okay.
But we want to leave a little bit of space because we still want to put our fruit for garnishing in. So again, with the fruit, you can be flexible. You don't have to stick to the recipe. It's partly because it looks beautiful, but partly because as you're consuming the beverage, you kind of have this little treat every now and then. So that could be like what I'm putting in right now, a little kiwi slice. You can put in a couple of those.
So I have leftover frozen berries in my freezer. Are those okay to use?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. It's a mix of blueberries, blackberries, strawberries. So.
They'll act like little ice cubes in your drink too. It actually helps keep your drink cold when you're out on your patio or out on your balcony, as it may be these days.
Yeah. Wherever you can get the sunshine,
Exactly. So I'm going to put in a few fresh berries here. I get a couple of raspberries.
Okay.
And some blueberries on my side here as well. I'm
going to put in a couple mint leaves. I don't have any kiwi to brighten it up with the green, so I'm going to put in some mint.
Yeah, we can stir that a little bit. Bring those. And then, a little mint for garnish. You're ahead of me there.
There we go. Sorry.
Not at all.
I'm a very eager cocktail drinker, so just want to get to the end. But so this drink, could you make a large batch of it? Like if you had a whole bunch of people over, make like a punch bowl sort of presentation, or?
For sure. Yeah, It would be a really easy cocktail to do that with.
Awesome.
And
great.
Put all the berries in there, almost like a big sangria kind of thing.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And we're going to have this recipe on eatnorth.com. You can find it on the Empress Gin website as well. But that was really fun. Cheers, Peter.
Cheers, Dan.
Let's try. It's great. I might have another while we keep filming the show. So
Jealous.
Yeah, I gotta get.
I'm so jealous.
I gotta get in on these cocktail making segments. I'm drinking a cold coffee that I brewed at 8:30 this morning, still right now. So that drink looks a lot
mine dry and ate the lime. Okay.
I like your glassware today, Mairlyn.
Okay. I ran back. I'm upstairs now. Where's my drink? There we go. Cheers. I wish I could share this with you guys, but I can't.
There he is. Hey, Clapson.
Yeah.
There's enough fruit in there to call that a healthy drink.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it, too. And one thing I do want to mention, when we were making the drink and I had those frozen berries, right now is not, obviously, it's not an ideal time to buy Canadian-grown fruit. But if you do buy frozen fruit, it's usually always from Canada. So I think that's a good tip, especially right now when people are you want to eat things that taste fresh and bright. But yeah, again, like strawberries or blackberries from Mexico are not going to taste very good. So frozen berries actually have a lot more flavor than you think they do, and they're Canadian grown.
You know, in Ontario, we have greenhouse strawberries. So we're actually getting local strawberries right now. They're hard to get, but they are delicious and taste like a real strawberry. But yeah, I use frozen product of Canada too. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's great. Do you guys have greenhouse strawberries in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Mike?
I don't know about strawberries. We certainly do for like little cherry tomatoes, like Vic's Market. They actually have their own farm, so they do these beautiful little cherry tomatoes that we're buying all the time. But I'm not sure on strawberries. Like I know at the start of summer when strawberry you pick season hits, it's really big, and you just can't beat that flavor. When when there's white in the core, where it's just outrageous strawberry goodness. I got to ask you before we get to the next one though.
Yes.
Do you eat your frozen fruit out of your drink, or do you let it go all the way to the bottom and then do it?
I like to leave it because I feel like the booze is infusing, sort of like, the Yucca Flocks kind of vibe going on. I don't know if that actually happens, but I do save it for last, yes. How about you, Mair?
Well, for the reason that Mike said, I thought it was a secret. I like to have all those berries soaking up the booze, so you get like a little treat in the end.
It's good. Anyway, I cannot wait for summer drinks. I feel like we're already having them today, but as soon as it gets nicer out, I'm going to be in my backyard and hopefully with some friends appropriately spaced out as we're allowed to do. I'm really looking forward to that. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, I feel like these shows really zoom by, but we're at the tail end now, and that means that we have a very talented Canadian musician joining us. So I'm going to have a quick chat with her, and then we're going to have her perform. So I'm going to swap over to Lisa Nicole. Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. And you're in Vancouver. I feel like we have a lot of West Coasters today. So you're over in Vancouver and the weather is lovely?
Okay, actually, I am not in Vancouver. I'm in the interior of BC.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So where are you from?
Yeah. I live in Trail, which is a pretty small town of like 10,000 people. But the weather is also overcast and gross. So.
And we're really happy to have you on. You had a new single released earlier this year, and you're in the world of country music. So, how has the current pandemic affected your plans for your promotion of your single and upcoming music?
Yeah, it was really tough because I was in the middle of probably my biggest publicity and radio campaign when the whole thing hit, and I was literally on my way to the airport. I was actually in Calgary because I just did TV there, and I was on my way to the airport to go to Toronto for the morning show, and my publicist called me on my drive to the airport and was like, "You cannot go because it's all canceled." So that was quite the bummer because this has also been I feel it's my best song, and I've been holding on to this song for thank you. I've been holding on to it for 2 years, and and also with thinking about the next single for the summer single. I had big plans for that one too. It was going to be a really fun, colorful music video. I mean, we'll see how the restrictions go, if I can still do something similar, but yeah, it's all very different.
So how have you been approaching the world of live streaming? I think you open your Instagram at 7 p.m. on any day of the week and there's 100 lives happening. So is that something you've been embracing and trying out, or has it not been going successful for you? I'm just always curious with how each artist sees the value in that kind of thing, I guess.
Right. To be honest, I haven't really done too many of the live things. I've done a few things like this, which I have a lot more fun doing. And I find myself when there's so many live streams now that I don't find myself tuning into all of them.
Right. It's hard.
There's just so much out there now. But so I'm trying to do a little bit of different things. I really like this idea that you have going on with all the different guests. And so I'm kind of working on something like that myself.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
It's definitely fun to do this. And when we first started this show, again, I can't believe we're on episode 7. I thought this would last for a month and we'd kind of be back to normal. But, here we are, episode 7, planning, 10, 12, 15. You definitely learn a lot about live streaming. And it's an interesting way because I feel like otherwise we might not have been able to have you do something with us, in person in Calgary because the timing might not work out. And, through North, we do a lot of different events, including Blue Jay Sessions, which we will actually have you on at the end of the month virtually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is as much as it's not ideal to not be surrounded by people, especially as a musician, I think it is interesting how you can get creative with the live streams.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I've been creating a lot of content, that's for sure.
Yeah. If anything, we can be creative while we're locked up at home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to let you play an acoustic version of your current single, Wait on Me.
Okay, yeah, awesome.
All right. Take it away.
Watching you guys' video this morning, it was really fun. Love that you're like having cocktails right now, and like Mike said, we're drinking our cold coffee from 8:30 this morning. But anyways, here's Wait on Me. And I wrote the song a couple of years ago down in Nashville with hit writer Dave Panish and my guitar player Jason Thomas. Dave wrote my favorite Keith Urban song called Without You. And when I heard him play this song, I was like, I need to write a song with you. So I have this song and another song on the album with him. And here we go. 3 a.m. You're all alone with the TV, wondering where I am. 3 days gone, don't know when I'll be back again. Babe, what can I say? You knew right from the start something's inside of me, telling me to chase this dream. Now I'm on my way. There's just one thing I pray. Wait on me, wait on me. I don't know how long it's gonna take me, but you're the only one that makes it all worth paying. Baby, wait on me. I'm in Arkansas in a little dive bar, was a sold-out show. Now I'm packing up the car, I'll be back before too long. Wait on, wait on, wait on me, wait on me. I don't know how long it's gonna take me, but you're the only one that makes it all worth paying. Baby, wait on me. Tell me, however far I roam, you'll never let go of me, until it all hits home. It's a chance worth taking. Wait on me. Wait on me, wait on me. I know there ain't no song that's gonna make or break me, but you're the only one that makes it all worth playing. Baby, wait on me. Tell me, however far I roam, you'll never let go of me, until it all hits home. It's a chance worth taking. Wait on me. Wait on me, baby. Wait on me, wait on me. Thank you.
That was great. Great job.
Okay.
You have such a beautiful voice. It's
you.
it's always interesting when you hear, I think specifically country, when you hear a produced country track versus the acoustic. I feel like, because you can mask so many things with vocals when you're producing a song, that country music, I love it stripped down because you can just hear your beautiful voice. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. I love playing acoustic. I do a lot of acoustic shows, actually.
That's good. I think it's the best way to see music. I think it's really intimate, and especially when you are like a talented singer-songwriter, I feel like that's when you really, really shine. But your new single, like the fully produced one, is very catchy. I listen to it all the time. So.
Oh, thank you! Yay!
Okay, well, that means that we're all wrapped up for Eat North Variety Pack, episode 7. Again, Lisa Nicole, thank you for closing out the show, and thank you to my wonderful co-host Mairlyn Smith, panelist Mike Green. It's been a fun time, and we'll see everyone next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you later. Bye.
Eat North Variety Pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.